The free software philosophy is very well documented. Browsing to the GNU.org page under Philosophy, Essays and Articles, you can see an abundant amount of information about the philosophical basis for free software. I'm assuming you're already somewhat familiar with the free software philosophy. I hope to go pretty deep in this video, so just hold on to your seats. Imagine a brilliant storyteller who lives in a small house in a country neighborhood. He just wrote a masterpiece novel and wants to share it with the world. His friend, who's a publisher, takes the manuscript and prints 100 books. He puts all of those books in his garage and tells everyone about the book and that they have to come to his garage to buy a copy. The first man who comes down buys a copy of the book for $15. He then goes home, proceeds to scan every page, and publish it on the internet. Anyone can download the book for free from the man's website. Here's where I want to stop and ask a question. Is it possible to own information? If I have 1,000 English words and I arrange them in a particular way to write an essay, do I own that arrangement? It's likely my readers already know all the English words that I used. How can the arrangement of words actually be mine? And it seems that the Free Software Foundation believes it can't be. In this video, I want to avoid discussing laws relating to intellectual property. Instead, I want to talk about the ethical side of information ownership. Is it ethically wrong to copy someone's information? You see, a software program is just information, like the information in a book or essay. It's just a pattern of characters, or in this case, bytes. Similarly, a book is just a bunch of letters that are put together. It probably only uses the 26 letters you already know. How can someone own that? I think we need to take this a bit deeper. I think we understand how someone can own physical objects, like a chair or a desk, but how can someone own information? Well, for someone to own some sort of information, the person obviously has to be a living soul. If humans were nothing more than complex molecules that made up chemicals and tissues and matter, I'd highly question whether or not ownership of anything can happen at all, much less ownership of information. But if humans are living souls, there can absolutely be a case made that they could own information. In fact, information may be what they own first. If you don't own the thoughts in your head, you don't own anything. So, given we have full ownership over our own soul and inner thoughts, it makes perfect sense that they are still ours when expressed via language or even logical symbols. Yes, those are your thoughts put up in that code. So if you own those thoughts, that arrangement of information, you really do have a right to copy. And it's worse than that, it seems like it's a natural right. Is it morally wrong to take something that was produced by someone else's soul? Well, if they gave it to you of their own volition, like how I'm giving you this video, taking the information is completely ethical. Information piracy is quite different than old-fashioned seafaring pirates. Seafaring pirates actually took stuff that the owners could no longer have. That's how it works with golden money. You can't just make a copy of it like hacker pirates do with Taylor Swift songs. Money can't just be duplicated, unless of course you're the Federal Reserve, which makes the Fed hacker pirates. But back on topic, if I were to take this video and put it on a server that you had to pay to get access to, and then you copied it from a friend who did pay for it, and you didn't pay for it, you're sort of stealing, like the Federal Reserve. Now, just to be clear, I'm aware that listening to a copyrighted song in the car with 5 friends who didn't pay for the song is completely acceptable. I think it's safe to say that's how the author intended the song to be used. There's a gray line between what's acceptable use, ethically, and what's unacceptable use. But adhering to the golden rule is the safest way to handle uncertain situations. That way involves asking, if I were the sort of person who made a living writing country music and knew nothing about Richard Stallman, free software, or the GPL, would I care if 50% of my listeners obtained my latest album without compensating me? At this point, I need to remind you that I'm not talking about what's legal. So, how would you apply this to software? Should I download a unlocked version of Photoshop? Should I live only within the free software philosophy, where no one is free to conceal their source code? I wanted to come in here and make something clear. This is related to the free software philosophy for one important reason. The free software philosophy demands that you share your code with anyone who uses the program. This, to me, is like demanding that you get the secret recipe for any food you eat at a restaurant. The logic goes like this. If you are letting someone eat your food at your restaurant, you have to let them know how you made it. Obviously, in that situation, it's questionable whether or not the chef would own any of his recipes. He'd be more like a soulless machine that cranks out procedures for various dishes with no autonomy. There are very useful and non-malicious programs that are proprietary. The presumption that malevolence is solely caused by users not having access to source code is like saying apartment landlords are malicious for keeping tenants out of their utility closet, or that a restaurant owner is malicious for keeping patrons out of the kitchen. Of course, sometimes they are malicious, but often you just have to trust them. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.